Mark Carney said that this piece of legislation would be the magic bullet to finally, after 10 years of liberal barriers to development, be the solution to get big projects built. It's almost a year into his mandate, and still not a single major project that's gone through the process.
Gang, what's up? Aaron here, Canadian Looney. We're in for a treat. We've got Andrew Scheer, the House Leader of the Conservative Party, sitting down with Rosie Barton, a CBC hack. She is awful. Let's see how many times she needs to be corrected. Are we going to have to take off her socks? Let's take a peek.
Andrew Scheer is the Conservative House Leader. Nice to see you.
Good to chat with you.
I'll talk a little bit about the House coming back and the rest of it, but I do want to get a little bit of reaction to a busy week and the Prime Minister's speech at Davos. Your leader responded. He called it eloquent. He called it well-crafted. He did go on to say other things too, but why did he feel the need to praise the speech in terms of, the response to this moment?
Well, many of the things that Conservatives have been calling on were at least a little bit of lip service paid to them. But what our leader also highlighted was that Mark Carney's actions doesn't match his rhetoric, and Canadians can't eat speeches, and empty rhetoric isn't very nutritious. And when you look at what Mark Carney has done, specifically when Prime Minister Carney said that Canada can't try to appease or curry favor with one of the powerful nations because we'll just get played off against other middle powers. This right after he came back from China, a country that he called the greatest national security threat to Canada. He talked about a new world order and closer and strategic partnerships. So what we're saying is that while it's all well and good to say those kinds of things in front of a crowd like at Davos, what really matters is Canadians not being able to afford groceries, the cost of living crisis that keeps hurting so many Canadians, the fact that we still haven't got a pipeline permitted to the West Coast to open up new markets in Asia. So when we come back to the House of Commons, Conservatives are going to be calling on the government to match that with action.
Yeah, and I think that's all fair. That was a speech about geopolitics and foreign policy, and of course it doesn't directly affect Canadians. But just to go back to the China issue, because I did ask the Prime Minister about that before Christmas, about how you navigate that relationship, and he says that there are guardrails, and that the idea is not to create a new security relationship or to jeopardize national security with China, but to open up or expand the market there to help canola farmers, for instance, in your province. So what do you see as the way to manage how you deal with China? Because I don't think the Conservative Party says we shouldn't trade with China. How do you expect the government to navigate that relationship, though?
Well, we expect, first of all, to use the leverage that Canada does have. This Liberal government used $1 billion of taxpayers' money to provide a loan guarantee, to basically provide funds to a Chinese company to build ferries for British Columbia. That doesn't make any sense at the best of times, but surely that should have been used as a point of leverage. We have what China wants. They need to feed their people and fuel their economy. They need to buy what we have. So again, we have leverage on that. What we got in return from this deal is an expectation. The language was very curious in the Prime Minister's statement, saying that we expect tariffs on canola to come off and that they will stay off on agricultural products until at least the end of this year. It seems like what this Liberal government has given up is, for sure, they've given access to the Chinese car manufacturers into the Canadian economy. That's a guarantee. What we've got in return is uncertain and not clear. So what we would say is, when you have the kind of leverage that we had going into that, you should come out with some better results. And the rhetoric around new world orders and closer cooperation, that flies in the face of what Mark Carney said during the election campaign when he said that China was the biggest national security threat. So he's, again, rhetoric not being matched up by words but by actual action.
The president responded to that speech by saying, and I'm sure you saw it, that Canada lives because of the United States. Do you think that the speech itself may have hurt Canada's chances to renegotiate CUSMA, or was that the point, just to sort of decide that we cannot allow ourselves to be played by the U.S. president all the time?
Just a quick interruption, guys. Aaron, Canadian Looney, smash the like, hit subscribe. If you like videos like this, we cover them here. We cover the House of Commons and Parliament as well. Let's get back to the video. Smash the like, hit subscribe.
Well, if you look at what Mark Carney promised Canadians he would do, he didn't just say that tariffs were an issue during the campaign. He said it was the central issue. He called an early election to basically say that he needed a mandate to deal with that. He then promised that there would be a deal with the United States by July. Since then, he's been sending all kinds of mixed signals. He was actually specifically asked when the last time he spoke to President Trump was, and he said, "Who cares?" And I think just to a female reporter in Davos when he was asked a similar kind of question, he said, "That question's boring." Well, it's not boring to the millions of Canadians whose jobs depend on trade access to the United States. It's not boring to people in the auto sector that have been laid off or who are worried about it. And I don't think you can pinpoint any one thing. Obviously, nobody can control what President Trump is going to do. We need to make our economy more resilient. 10 years of Liberal policies chasing away investment from our energy sector, the Liberal industrial carbon tax that puts Canadian manufacturers at a huge disadvantage when they're competing against American manufacturers. These are domestic Liberal policies that have hurt the Canadian economy, made us more dependent on the United States, and put our manufacturers at a disadvantage. So there's lots we can do domestically to help push back against these tariffs. Okay,
let me ask a couple of questions about the House of Commons. One of the things that has to happen is the Budget Implementation Act. It will obviously be a confidence vote. Does the Conservative Party plan to support the bill? Is there anything you could do to improve that? Is there something you want to see in order to avoid the House falling and plunging us into an election?
Well, every minority parliament that I've been in, the onus is on the government to work with the other parties to find a path through. So, we've had discussions in the past, over the past few months of this parliament, where we believe that it's in the best interest of the country. We've helped get legislation through various steps. So, point to Bill C-5. Mark Carney said that this piece of legislation would be the magic bullet to finally, after 10 years of Liberal barriers to development, be the solution to get big projects built. It's almost a year into his mandate, and still not a single major project that's gone through the process. So this is what is this what he talked about when he said moving at unimaginable speeds? Conservatives have absolutely said when there's an interest to the Canadian people, when it's going to improve the economy or reduce the cost of living, we'll support that. There are measures that provide tax relief. Those are things we can support. But what the Liberals also do is they package them with things that we believe will be bad for Canadians, like in their budget implementation bill, giving ministers the power to circumvent the law. That's not something that Canadians were asking for in the last election. That's not something Mark Carney told Canadians he would do. And we've seen what happens when Liberals remove legal protections against corruption. So Conservatives are going to work with the Liberals where we believe it'll address the affordability issues and improve our economy.
I want to look ahead, if I can, to next weekend. It's a big convention for the Conservative Party. The leader will speak on Friday night, and there is going to be that leadership review. I don't think anyone doubts that Mr. Poilievre will do fine in the leadership review, the evaluation of the party. But I wonder whether you think the whole of caucus supports Mr. Poilievre's leadership, because, as you know, we ended the year probably in a way that no one wanted to. You guys had lost a couple of MPs that crossed the floor. So do you feel like the caucus supports Mr. Poilievre beyond just the party membership that will get to vote on his leadership next week?
Absolutely. Yeah. And, it's important to remember that Canadians voted for a minority government. They did not give Mr. Carney a majority mandate, and I believe it's inappropriate and it's anti-democratic for him to try to cobble together through backroom deals or forms of intimidation or pressure tactics to get the majority that Canadians specifically denied him. So
it is allowed, though, Mr. Scheer. Just to be fair, it is. You may not like it, but it is allowed.
Well, look, I believe most Canadians would agree that if you don't get a majority mandate from the people, making backroom deals with individual MPs to get something that the voters denied, while it may not be illegal, it might not be procedurally invalid, is certainly not the right thing to do, not the right way to get a majority mandate.
Okay, we'll see you back in Ottawa this week and in Calgary, too, for the big convention. Thank you for your time. I appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
We'll wrap it up right there, gang. Aaron, Canadian Looney, let me know in the comments what you think about Rosemary Barton. Is she a hack? Is Andrew Scheer a funny guy? How many times did he have to correct her? Oh my goodness. The CBC is a propaganda machine indeed. Aaron, Canadian Looney, like, share, subscribe. Check out one of the other videos we've got floating around here. We cover Canadian federal politics. Get yours right here Everyone has an opinion about Canadian federal politics. Catch you in the next video. We're out for now. Later, gang.